When they start calling these movies action movie, the movie, they still decide to give them titles. This one is called The Killer's Game. When Joe Flood, the most notorious hitman played by Dave Bautista, meets a dancer played by Sofia Boutella. Not that type of dancer. Those type of dancers are featured in this film, but as assassins though. And it's a great scene. It's nothing but blood and ass. It's a fun time. This newfound love makes him want to retire and be an honest man. But just when he's about to retire from the game, he's diagnosed with a degenerative brain disease. With only 3 months left to live, he puts a hit on himself because, realistically, let's be honest, only pussies die from a brain disease. He finds out his doctor made a mistake. His brain ain't no bitch. But it's too late to call off the hit, so he must survive one more night in the game before he retires. That's pretty much the gist of this movie. There's really nothing more to it after that. It's Dave Bautista. He's big. He has the turkey haircut. You could tell he got himself his hair transplants. Not bad. He looks good, right? Because he's keeping himself up. He's keeping himself in shape. But you can definitely tell my man's took a quick trip to Turkey to revitalize his hair. And it's very distracting at times, at least for me personally while watching it. I was like, damn, brother, take that thing off the top of your head. You look like you misplaced your yarmulke. But with all that said about Dave Bautista and the way he looks, he is great in this movie. Well, let me not say great. He's good here. He is doing his back to bases, rough and tough guy talk. Everything he's saying is like this. Well, I'm not sure. I thought we saw him grow a personality when A Knock at the Cabin came out. But hey, sometimes you gotta go back in time in order to go forward in bank account. Hey, you do what you gotta do for the money. You remember when him and The Rock were going at it for who would be the best wrestling actors? This seemed like it should have been a Rock movie, but Dave Bautista took it just to show The Rock how ridiculous he looks in these types of movies. Because this movie is ridiculous. His character is nearly almost unfair in this movie. He's a superhuman. He's Wolverine with worse regenerative powers because he gets stabbed, things blow up against next to him, he gets shot, and he recovers in like a day, and it barely even hurt him. At some point in this movie, with all these assassins coming after him, I kind of started to feel bad for the assassins, because I'm like, hey guys, I don't know why you signed up for this. He's not regular human. He has some superhuman abilities. You guys aren't surviving, because he'll take on a room of decorated, trained assassins by himself. They got guns, knives, explosions, and he's just batting off grenades, slapping off one with the knives, taking off the knife of another one and shooting somebody else in the face with it. He's not human in this movie at all. They never even put him in a situation to where it's in any way a little bit ambiguous on whether or not he will get out of the situation he finds himself in. Stop fighting him. You guys don't have a chance. Get on his side. Don't go against him. And the way they introduce all of these assassins when they do approach him to fight and to start an action scene, it's kind of like that Suicide Squad 2016 type graphic cards. Their name pop up and it's a little bit of they get their little pose and slow motions as their name pop up onto the screen depending on who they are, and then they're just killed like 3 seconds later. So it's kind of like there really was no reason to even show them do any of this shit, but they were cool. Especially two of the assassins, they're called the Party Girls. They didn't even put up a fight, really. They just shot at him, and then he took one, put a grenade on it, and threw it into the other one. They both blew up. I will spoil you on that one. And they're terrible actors as well. Mostly everybody in here are terrible actors, besides like Ben Kingsley and Dave Bautista and Terry Crews and Palm Clementif. I don't know how to say her name. But then again, they're not all that great either, because those are your only options. You either have a bad script or you're bad at acting. And these are some good actors, so I know they had a bad script. And this script is pretty bad. The dialogue here is so trying to be cool dialogue that it somewhat stumbles into awkward and uncanny and just cringy. The rest of everyone else in this movie, the assassins and the side actors, most of them are just stunt people. I did a little bit of research into some of the cast, and a lot of them have just done a lot of stunt work. So they're trying to take more of the John Wick approach. So you can see that they're trying to be John Wick, except for they lack style, they lack direction, they lack story. Even though the story's pretty basic, it's still a little bit stupid to keep up with. I mean, it gets you from point A to point B, and I like you guys always say, I just want to point A to point B, and they do that. They go from point A to point B, but just because you go from point A to point B don't mean you can't be stupid on your way there. Granted, it is trying to sell you more with the action and the brutality of the gore here, and some of that works. Some of the gore does help it be a little bit more interesting than if it didn't have it. If this movie didn't have gore in it, it would just be the most blandest thing you can ever see in a movie theater right now. But due to the fact that there is a lot of gore in the action scenes, it's not that boring to a certain extent, because seeing people's throats get cut open and heads get smashed in and limbs get thrown off and their bodies get exploded and heads exploded can entertain you. It makes it a little bit more interesting to watch than it would have been if it just was two people punching each other. And when you have two stunt people, like the scenes where they're just showing the assassins do their things, the direction of the action is very good. The director here is J.J. Perry. I don't know much about them, but, you know, it seems that they're trying to look for a style. I just don't think they had it here, because they offer nothing. They make the movie seem cheap. Them and whoever edited this movie makes this movie seem extremely cheap, because the first half of this movie is bombarded with these terrible transitions from scene to scene. It's awful. You're a little bit confused by a lot of the ways that they transition from scenes to scene here. It's almost wacky and trying to be overly goofy when you already have a goofy movie in front of us, but it's also trying to be endearing and have some sense of romance. But that doesn't work either, because you have on one point this very slow romance that they're trying to sell you, which is terrible, between Sofia Boutella and Dave Bautista. Them two have no chemistry, no charisma with each other. They look like actors being told to just act like you're in love, frolic, move around. Dave, you're big. Pick her up, hold her, and twirl in a circle. They can look like they're in love, but they're not. So when you spend a big bulk of the runtime with this romance subplot, it really halts the movie's pacing. It goes from fast pacing with a lot of action scenes and these assassins coming after him. Yeah, it's a little bit repetitive, because he'll just fight one assassin, he'll run somewhere else, and then 3 seconds later another assassin will just pop up and go, "Hey, Flood, I'm looking for you." It's just that on repeat. You either get that or him in Sofia Boutella's unloving love story that you're just completely bored with. Their dialogue is hella terrible and awkward and cringy. I spent most of the movie kind of looking like this, because the writing was so bad and the acting was just egregious at time, and there was, like I said, there was just no charisma or chemistry between them. So I really have nothing to watch when they're acting together. But I wasn't looking like that when Terry Crews was on screen, because Terry Crews is pretty charismatic and fun in this movie. Ben Kingsley is here. He's actually good. I will give him that. Ben Kingsley's good. Again, not the best dialogue, but he's doing with it what he can. I don't know how much money he made on this, but most of the time he's just sitting or he's just standing in one spot being Ben Kingsley. He's not doing much. I was watching this in a theater with only a couple of people, mostly old. And hey man, when people got their necks sliced open, heads blown up, and all this other shit, they were like, ooh, ah. There was no other reaction to anything else in the movie, but they were definitely going, ooh, ah. And there is some ooh, ah moments within the action because they have blood. And a lot of it is that CGI blood. It doesn't look practical. And I understand why they do CGI. I mean, when you're making your Green Band trailer, it's easy to process it out than it is to just cut around it. So you don't have to put the blood there. You can just take the blood out. I mean, it's CG. You can just digitally remove it whenever you need it to be. But and again, it does add to the cheapness of it. So with all that being said, I will give The Killer's Game a 4 out of 10. Stinky, not good. But maybe you disagree. And if you disagree, leave a like. If you agree, leave a like. If you want to see more, leave a like. If you want to see a different review, like and subscribe. But if you see the potential in me, subscribe. You don't have to like on that one. Just subscribe. And with that, I'll say good and bye.